Welcome back in live to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We are going to be recapping what was a pretty crazy week 11. A lot of games, a lot of good games that we're going to talk about and give some of our early picks on Sunday night for week 12, trying to get some good value as the picks come out on Sunday afternoon. I guess we'll start with my picks. A lot of red bloodbath out there for me. OU -6. Was pretty much a loser all the way. Caleb Williams looked horrible. I was right on the defense. The defense came out and was really feeding Baylor.
Yeah, they fought. That's the only reason it was even remotely close, because that offense didn't move it a step ever.
Horrible. Spencer Rattler came in late. Didn't really get anything going either. And so it's a good, solid Baylor football team that dropped a weird one against TCU. But other than that team's been nailed. So that might have just been a mispick by me. Miami -2.5. I'm convinced I was on the right side. That was
a vicious loss. You didn't deserve that.
What I saw, I watched most of the game. Florida State was pretty much just trying to take away those explosive plays that Miami's pretty much been feasting on the last couple of weeks, forcing them to either run the ball or kind of throw it underneath this cover 2 shell. And barring a few bigger catch and runs, it worked. Miami really wasn't able to establish anything on the.
You know who you were right about though is Jalen Knight. God, that guy can play.
He's got some burners.
Some big plays.
He's got some burners. Yeah, he's lighting in the bottle. So, Jermaine Johnson kind of just wreaked havoc on what was a really good set of tackles from Miami, and this dude's playing himself into a top 20 pick. So, good on him. What do you want to talk about your picks?
Syracuse was brutal. Like that's just not seeing the game, because they were killed in the first quarter.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Minnesota pick. I'm comfortable taking a +200 money line when it is as close as that game was. I think it kind of ended how I thought it was going to go. A missed 2-point conversion hurt. Yeah, I don't know. That's like a good money line I look for. Tanner Morgan, yeah, he played horrible. Wish you could get more out of him, but again, I'm not like upset about. You know what you're getting into picking a +200 team, and I think I kind of got what I wanted out of it, but just didn't.
There were more points than I would have expected. I think the over/under was like 38, something really, really low. So that covered the under by almost 2 scores. So
yeah, I think a punt. If I recall, there was a significant punt return out of the Hawkeyes, which hurt.
Yeah, especially in such a 1 points you're gonna be at a premium.
So
like Minnesota was kind of on the. It looks like they outgained them if my math's correct early. But that I will do that. Iowa just is always good on special teams. They don't turn the ball over, and kind of find those yards that necessarily aren't there, and turn those into points. So
yeah,
you're right.
I don't know.
That's not.
I think the pick's fine. I'm not like gonna quibble. It's like it lost, but it was close. Would have covered the spread. So it's the game you play.
On to the ROC Boys Locks. We made some money. These are kind of the picks that we normally give out. Picks that Dill and I both look at and agree on. Those are the ones we give out. Michigan money line really wasn't a sweat for most of the game. It got off to a rocky start. Michigan kind of like stalled out some drives. Penn State was gashing us a little bit, converting some third and longs. But for 3 quarters of this football game, Michigan dominated. I think they were clearly the better team. Notre Dame -4.5. If you got this one early, good on you. That's kind of the benefit of taking some lines on Sunday night. Brendan Armstrong ended up not playing for the Cavaliers, so
I thought you needed to get that early, because they did smoke them.
Yeah, even if you got it on Saturday, when it moved up to like 8.5, when Brendan Armstrong was questionable / trending like he wasn't going to play. Either way, Notre Dame covered. Really wasn't a sweat. Great pick. And then the USC game unfortunately got canceled. So 2-0 on the week there. Happy about that. And let's get to the battlegrounds, Dill. Give it to me.
Tough one. Yeah, I don't know. You don't have a handle on what Texas A&M is. That's very clear. Like I'm not sure there's enough of an understanding about what Calzada is, so that hurt you. And again, you were putting too much stock in injuries for Ole Miss. They come off a game not playing in the SEC, get a week to heal. I think you underestimated that. Obviously, I think the one thing I didn't see was Ely playing as well as he did. He's
good.
Very good.
He's really good. He's undersized.
And then
got some juice.
And Matt Corral looked healthy. So healthy Matt Corral, yeah, he can do his thing. And then bump it over to Georgia Tech. I don't like. You took too much stock again, and Phil Jerkovic, his finger bad, he can't throw.
Yeah.
But you didn't see that Georgia Tech's giving up a zillion points to everybody, especially the running teams. And yeah, Garwo obviously beat him down pretty good. Phil ran again.
Those big plays. Zay Flowers had two catches for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he got 2 big throws on touchdowns. Filyakovic was only 13 of 20. So that's a very efficient day, but
that is a ridiculous stat line.
Resulted in 300 yards. Kind of just taking the top off the if you look at these averages per reception, that's just crazy.
Yeah, those are nuts.
Obviously, Boston College is going to get you on the ground. What I really thought was I was really not impressed with how Filyakovic looked against Virginia Tech last Friday. So I thought, like, okay, they're battling BC a little too much. Filyakovic is not bringing that much to this offense if his hand looks like that. I missed it. And then Georgia Tech is always in these crazy games, and they just couldn't finish. They were hanging around. Jahmyr Gibbs, again, I'm just going to highlight him. Like, look for this cat. He's going to be this was more lopsided than you would have thought, though. Holy smokes, we didn't do anything on offense. I didn't really watch much of this game. I was watching the Miami game. But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, he's a second-year kid. Absolutely electric. Continues to fill out his frame, kind of like Jalen Knighton in space. So, yeah, I was wrong. I wasn't as focused or as excited about the Georgia Tech pick as I was the A&M pick. I thought I was going to smoke you on the A&M pick. I was really excited for it. And looking at the box score here, we both watched this game. This was kind of like one we had going back and forth. Zach Calzada's a little bit pumpkin back there. He stinks. The defense was holding their own. I mean, Texas A&M was putting them in absolutely horrible positions, and we're fighting in the red zone. And honestly, going into the second half, only down 15 was a miracle. It wasn't the game. A&M gets a goal line stop. Texas A&M gets the ball, immediately gives up a safety. It's just like the offense just could not help the defense out at all. And that was kind of the story of the game. Ole Miss gets it done at home, and I go 0-2 on the week, but I'm ready to get back in the saddle.
Yeah, you better hope you don't bump up against me.
You picked. I was actually really happy with my picks, and the A&M pick. So, it is what it is. Solid, pretty solid week. We didn't have that many picks. I think we were both kind of locked in on this Michigan pick, and so this week
my week was pretty good.
You killed it.
If I didn't have you dragging me down into the sewers.
That's true.
Such is life.
Yeah. All right, so we'll get going. I'll let you, since you are up 0-2 in the battleground category, I'll let you give your first pick for week 12.
I think the easiest pick, I'm going to go back to the well on the Purdue covering 11.5 on Northwestern. If you watch that, Purdue offense is probably going to score 30 to 40 points on them, I think. Just knowing what Northwestern can do on defense, they're pathetic. And they don't score any points against anyone, I don't think. I mean, Purdue's not good on defense, but I just think you're going to get easily enough points out of that Purdue offense cover 11.5 on a horrible Northwestern team. So
yeah,
that's a pick I love. I love going to that fade Northwestern into oblivion. So
yeah, I'm actually going to lock that up with you. Purdue showed they can move the ball really, really well. It's honestly a solid team. Aiden O'Connell is one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten right now. You get this inside of 2 touchdowns. I like it. They're going to score points. They're going to score over 30, I think, on this Northwestern team. And I think, again, this Northwestern team is going to struggle to score over 14. So I mean, looking back, we can take a peek at these Northwestern games. I mean, they just can't move the ball at all. Obviously, they played a oh my God, my typing. Obviously, they played a buzzsaw Wisconsin defense that's been playing very well, running the ball very well.
Wisco's killing people.
But like 7 against Nebraska, they ended up beating Rutgers, who's still not that good. Barely moved the ball against Michigan. Barely moved the ball against Minnesota. Barely scored against Iowa, who's like, eh. So I'm okay with it. David Bell and this Purdue offense is starting to cook. I'm actually going to put that in the ROC Boys lock. I like that pick. The fade Northwestern. Yeah. I think you're 100% on it, right? Like I don't think you lost a.
No, I thought Iowa was going to beat them by more than 12 or something. Definitely lost that.
Yeah, Iowa just doesn't have the explosive offense. So like if they're not getting like a pick six, like they can't cover those big numbers. But
I mean, like Wisconsin covered very easily. I just got scared away because of the Iowa thing, but Wisconsin's good now. Like they're playing really good ball.
Yeah, and this Purdue team likes to throw the ball around, so they're going to put up points. They threw for almost 400 yards. I'm looking at Aiden O'Connell's box score stats right now: 40 of 52 for 390 yards and 4 tutters. It's a good team.
Yeah, no, he is playing really well, and David Bell can really play, and there's something just about like a really creative offense that keeps kind of teams on their heels if you watch them. Like they mix in good trick plays and make it hard on defenses, or I think.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead. I doubt you're gonna lock this up, which is completely fine.
I'm not hunting for these
child games. It's my only match pick of the week. I actually really like this NIU team. Rocky Lombardi is athletic enough to move the ball with his legs, but they also run it with a solid crew of running backs. Their head coach is a former running back. They're going on the road to play UB, who just without like an explosive run game with Jared Patterson is just not a very good football team.
They're only getting 2.5 against UB. I don't know.
Yeah, on the road, like NIU scores a lot of points. We watched them against Kent State. It was a good game. Unfortunately, couldn't pull it out, but
the defense.
They went and beat Ball State last week on a game-winning field goal. They're right in the thick of it to playing the MAC championship game. Getting it inside of a field goal, I like to pick. This offense can really run it up, and this UB team, again, without that stud Jared Patterson and losing some of those guys on the offensive line, it's just Kyle Van Treese can't get it done for UB. So I'm taking.
Yeah, and just the ultimate scumbag move by Coach Leopold. What he did to that program, I think, is such a joke.
Tell him what he did.
Like to ultimately like take a couple of starters off of the team with you to transfer, I think is a ridiculous move. How much I get taking the coaches, but God, taking the players like that is crazy. I've never seen.
Yeah, he took.
I've never seen that, but it seems so inappropriate, and I think like just shameful. Like, how are you ever? It's just a ridiculous thing to do. So I think that hurt the pro. It just hurt the pro. Like, I don't know. You take a couple of like really, really good players from them, and they haven't looked the same this year at all. Obviously Patterson, but just a wild move by him. It just feels like really kind of grimy. I've never seen it. I don't know if you can think of.
What do we got as you're not locking that up with me, I assume.
I don't look at that game like that.
Yeah, that's fair. For you degenerates.
I know you're not gonna like this one. I think Texas covers 1.5 on West Virginia.
I was thinking that too. I actually have that game, but it's not that.
I just look. I think I almost just want to keep taking. Like the team should be able to score. You got a really good wideout and Worthy. Casey Thompson's playing good. West Virginia seems to be faltering. They had a horrible game last week.
Yeah, they looked bad last week, and I mean it's been a couple after that.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Nice win against Iowa State, who's dropped some bad games anyway, so I'm not like too much take like, okay, they're really good because they beat them, but I don't know. I think Texas, at some point, they're going to get it right. They got a fair amount of talent. Obviously, the Kansas loss was gross, but it still seems to me. I mean, when they played Oklahoma, looked very good. Looked good against Tech. Fought Baylor. It's like I don't know. I think they're going to be able to do it. I think it's a little low.
I guess I'll go right into my pick. I'll pick them on the road against a not great West Virginia team's okay. I'm actually going to take that game, but I'm going to take the over. The over set at, and I don't love taking over unders. I've been good with them this year. I don't love doing it, but I'm going to take the over 58. I feel like that's a low number. I see both teams kind of running it up. Texas can't stop a nosebleed. That being said, if you're looking for some like motivation and some bright spots on this football team, it is on the offense. You said it right. Casey Thompson starting to get it going. Obviously, Bijan Robinson is a phenomenal running back, and they got some decent wide receivers, kind of headlined by Xavier Worthy. West Virginia, I think it's two not great offenses or not great defenses versus kind of like struggling teams in general. And so I think you'll see a little bit of a shootout in Morgantown. And so I'm taking the over. That seems like a low over in the Big 12 for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't love doing over-unders straight up because I think a lot of it comes down to not like football things as much as like bounces, but I do think that does seem a little low. I gotta think Texas is gonna get it right here. It's like now you've hit the bottom. You got nothing to play for besides like,
yeah.
Nope. It takes the pressure off you once you lose to Kansas. It's like, well, can't be
worse.
And
if you look at that second quarter for Texas, like their offense finally got it going. After a very bad first quarter, they scored 14, 21, 14 to finish the game. God, Worthy stat line. Holy smokes. God,
he's sick.
So that's what I'm going with. And we'll kick it back over to you.
This one was a strange one to me, but Baylor as a pick'em against Kansas State, I feel like
nice. Yeah.
How are you not gonna?
Yeah.
Baylor's good. I mean, I get that they lost to TCU, but that TCU team is that game was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen in terms of like, I don't want to call them lucky breaks, but just like kind of pulling rabbits out of the hat over and over and over from that TCU team. But otherwise, Baylor's been really solid.
That TCU loss was,
and they don't. What I like they don't like get rattled that much. Like they generally stay the course, even against TCU.
It's a well coached
battled them. Like they played horrible all game, and then eventually put himself in a very good position to win. And unfortunately, Bohannon threw a bad pick at the end.
I'm nervous about Jared Bohannon. Like he misses a lot of throws, and he brings like a
but they can hammer it on you.
Yeah, and
that running game is good.
Guy is legit. He's so good, and having a big mobile quarterback to supplement it is big. But like this is I like this offense enough to like the team, but the true like identity of this team is on the defensive side of the ball. This Oklahoma run game, which has been so solid with Caleb Williams, I mean, just like couldn't get going. They held Caleb Williams under 20 yards. Kennedy Brooks, who's people are talking about him being a top draft pick, top running back prospect, only had 51 yards on 13 carries. So this Baylor defense can bring it. So I'm gonna lock that up with you. I love it. Trying to think of which one I want to go to. God, I'm all over the place. I'm gonna go back to the Wild. This is a team that we've bet on a lot, and I think they're getting some good value because they're going on the road in the Pac-12 is UCLA to cover 2.5.
Yep.
Again, you had that. I had a feeling you had that. Inside of a field goal, go get it right now. I don't think it'll be there. What I worry about is USC is coming off essentially a bye. But I can't get behind what UCLA is doing with this offense, kind of like waffling between Keaton Slovis and Jackson Dart. both quarterbacks can't really get into a rhythm. They have absolutely no run game. I like Keontae Ingram, but like they can't block for him. They don't have a run game. UCLA loves to bring some really aggressive blitz packages, and I think that's going to get some turnovers. Whether it be,
they can't victimize them downfield. Like that's, I think, how you got to be able to play UCLA is make complete passes, especially kind of longer ones.
I recall, I didn't watch. I watched the extended highlights of UCLA against Colorado. We obviously a weak Colorado team, but
they played bad. I get that they weren't playing
I don't
good.
think they played their best ball, but they still hung 44. DTR.
They put it together in the second half.
I mean, what he does is he just kind of opens up that run game. Zach Charbonnet didn't have his best game, it looks like, but yeah, I mean, they're coming off. You're right. That's a very good point. They're coming off a really, really strong second half. So I'm
not worried about that game. I don't see USC. Like, I don't know how they're gonna put together enough explosive plays, which I think is what they're gonna need to do. Because I'm sure they're going to give up sacks and negative plays. That's what UCLA does. The reason LSU could kind of bang with them a little bit is because Butte had a couple big plays, and they did a little bit, but there's nobody on USC who is like that alpha dog who's making big plays right now. I just don't see it.
They have that kid who transferred over from Memphis who's kind of like a jitterbug, kind of electric, but
without London, you're right. He was the guy. He was the only guy who was catching the ball.
Too much inconsistency. Doing like 2 drives and 2 drives for quarterbacks when it's. The only reason I get playing 2 different quarterbacks is when a one quarterback gives something that is a little different from the other one. Jackson Dart's a little bit more athletic, but it's nothing to like, oh, I'm gonna get him looks. Like when Michigan brings in JJ, it's because we're looking to do something with JJ. Versus like it's just like complete drives where like one guy just sits the bench and just doesn't get into the rhythm of the football game. So I think UCLA, I brought that one up, so I'll kick it back over to you.
This one I love. I think you might like it. I think Florida's going to cover 7.5 on Mizzou.
I'm gonna. So I was like so close to writing that. I have so many picks.
It's such a Mizzou is so bad. I mean,
bad.
I get that Florida, that was horrible what they did against Stanford, but in fairness, they did come back in the second half and absolutely wipe them. So it's like they did fix it.
Do you think
you're not going to
get that at 7 or no? Do you think we hold off and do you think it moves to 7?
I don't think it matters. I think we're going to beat them by like 30 points. As bad as Florida's defense is, I still think they can score, especially on weak teams.
They can score. They will score on this Missouri team. This Missouri team cannot stop a nosebleed. They will score.
Yeah, like watching them against BC, I was just like they're not an SEC team, but yeah, I think, and I get that this is like Dan Mullen obviously
they 84 on them. I stopped tuning into this game. That is,
and they didn't. I didn't know they gave up that many.
That's women's basketball. I was like, when did that happen?
I didn't know. I thought they kind of shut them down in the second half, but
that's tape.
Whatever.
I was like,
yeah. So I mean, obviously they came back in the second half and a 21-0 third quarter. That's what every quarter should have been, obviously, for Florida. It's like they were playing Stanford for God's sakes, but this is more of an anti-Mizzou thing. Like they're so gross.
And Dan Mullen will be coaching for his job. You lose to Missouri.
Everything's for his job, and he's got to start. He's got to really kill teams.
I would not be surprised if they cut him or not cut him or leave him as duties, fire him, whatever you want to call it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do it.
I think they would have done it with all the other coordinators, though. But
that's normally what you see happen is they want to preserve Dan Mullen, so they'll fire the coordinators. Do I want to lock that?
Yeah,
up?
Just like Scott Frost. God,
I feel like it's such a sucker bet. I feel like it's like
it does feel a little suckery, as does Baylor, frankly. But
dude, oh my God, my headset.
But Baylor's not a sucker team. Like, they're really solid. They're not flashy. They're solid. Florida's the opposite. You doing it?
I'll lock it up. All right.
Oh yeah.
Nah,
Oh yeah.
I'll do it. I was like, if you liked it too, I was like so close to writing it down on my sheet. I looked at it for a while.
I think it's easy money.
I just I don't know if like these players even want to play football right now. If you watch the highlights of that, like they're not trying to tackle.
Yeah, but did you see them in the locker room? They were
they were buzzing.
Seemed stoked. So it's like
felt about that.
I don't know what to think about that. It's like
and again, this is a Florida team that is so talented on defense too. That Brenton Cox, Zachary Carter, Ventrell Miller, Kyrie Elam. Like this team is like has like some bona fide NFL talent level players, and they just can't figure it out. Mizzou's bad though.
But Mizzou wants to throw the ball. You hope those D linemen can get after him a little bit. Obviously, Kyrie Elam is putting together a hell of a year.
Favorite. I like Tyler Batty a lot.
37-28 to Vandy. Gross.
You actually, I'm pretty sure you got. Yeah, I'm fading them. I'm fading South Carolina. Connor Bazelak didn't play against Georgia. He came back. I mean, 180 yards is pretty pedestrian. 2 turnovers. They fed Tyler Batty.
Yeah, but that could Bazelak's actually. I don't think he's bad.
What's the over/under in this game?
Do you have that? I don't look at over/unders. You know that I don't look at them.
I'm gonna find.
I'll look it up if you have something to say.
If it's under 70, I'll take it.
70?
If it's
the over or the under?
Set at 70, I'll take the over because there's gonna be a lot of things.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll find it. Just give me a sec. You can keep talking.
I've kind of made my case. I just think they're going to score 70 points. That's kind of my thought.
Yeah.
Florida, that is.
It is. I should be a capper. It's literally 70.
You going to take it or what?
No, I won't take it.
It's not a bad pick.
It's low.
That is kind of low, especially for those defenses. Like, geez.
Yeah, the 2 words. It's like how's Missouri's offense been lately?
What?
So how's Missouri's offense been lately? Like how have they been doing? It's like hard.
They're scoring.
They're scoring on the bad teams.
Yeah,
dude, Missouri is so bad on defense. Though, giving up 62 to Tennessee, 35 to North Texas. They give up 41 to BC with no Phil Yurkovich. They give up 29 to 28 to FCS Southeastern Missouri.
Yeah, they're a bad team.
I'm just gonna take the 7.5. I think Florida will score enough. I like the pick. I like the game. The game's very intriguing. It's a bunch of shit teams. Okay, I'll go next. I think you might fight me on this. This might be a battleground pick. I don't love it. Utah -3 against Oregon.
I didn't have anything there, so you can put that in your own pick.
I don't even know if I love that pick. Basically, what I'm thinking is that from what I've seen, Oregon, they play with their food a lot. They don't blow teams out, and they can't throw the ball. Anthony Brown is not a guy you want dropping back and throwing the ball. So what they've been doing is running the ball a lot with Anthony Brown and with Travis Dye. It's been good. Now that
their O-line's pretty solid.
Their O-line's always been solid. Mario Cristobal recruits and develops like really good offensive line talent. Utah's pretty solid against the run. Obviously, Devin Lloyd in the middle of that defense is kind of an eraser. It's at home. It's like for the first spot in the Pac-12 championship game.
At home for Utah?
Yeah.
Well, that's a hell of an environment.
So I don't normally like taking these picks. You know what I mean? Because if it's in Oregon, it's probably Utah +3.
Yeah, but Utah has a legitimate home field advantage.
I might hold off on this pick too because I could see it going down to pick 'em. If I were to guess where the public would go,
yeah, that's true.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to pick 'em by kickoff on Saturday. And this is more of just like a juice game. Like I want to have a dog in this race. It's going to be a fun game. I'm very excited for it. I want Oregon to lose, so there's a little bit of bias from that too. this Utah team's been completely different with Cameron Rising at the helm. He came in against San Diego State, I believe, really Charlie Brewer, who's not transferred out. And I mean, this team's lost one game since to Oregon State. But other than that, they've been taking care of business in significant ways. Some dynamic running backs, TJ Pudger among them. I like this pick. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a fun pick. It's a fun pick. It's what we do.
This is a fun game.
If you want to make money, go invest in the S&P. If you want to have fun in your life, bet football.
Fact.
Hey, that's just a fact. Disclaimer. We're not trying to make that much money. Well, we are trying to make money, but yeah,
All right. What else we got?
You're up. I just went Utah -3.
Fair pick. I know you're gonna dislike this. I'm gonna give 2 money lines right now, and this is pretty much closing out what I have. I think Iowa State +6.5 money line on Oklahoma.
State? Okay.
Oklahoma, yeah. And then I think the other one I have is Florida State +3 money line. I think they're gonna beat BC.
That's BC, right? Yeah, I don't hate either of those picks. Obviously Oklahoma looked really, really bad, but Iowa State also looked really, really
I think that's a breaker for Oklahoma. That's a team that their championship or bust. Playoff or bust, and they're not going to be sniffing playoffs no matter what. I don't think they have an argument. Lincoln Riley, that game seemed to break his mind, and he went off on the refs and they're attacking our players. Dude, what? No, they're not. So it's I think Lincoln Riley, he seems to be I think even putting in Spencer Rattler, that was a weird move. It's you can't flip flop in that situation because that's just too weird. You already know Rattler's got to be pissed and kind of disengaged. Obviously, he came in, didn't do anything. Not that Williams was doing anything.
Who do you think, Josh? I think they go back to Caleb Williams. He's the future.
I think they have to because Rattler's going to be gone.
Caleb Williams out to see if Spencer Rattler can give you that spark. I don't blame him for doing that, but you go back to Caleb. He's your future.
Yeah, but it's just stupid. I don't know.
I don't think it was stupid. I think you needed to try something because
you need to try something. But it was. They gave Spencer Rattler so many shots and he never made it work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think he kind of it feels just like he's losing a little bit of control of the whole.
It's going to get a whole lot worse when he goes to the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma aren't going to be able to compete with these teams. I mean, they're
my issue is
TCU games middle of the year. Try going Auburn, Bama.
Yeah, they're not going to Mississippi State's way better.
Back. Oh man, it's going to be a growing.
Look at your freebies.
It's going to be such a growing pain for these teams. The game is played in it's just a different game in the SEC when you watch these two conferences.
Yeah, Texas is that's ridiculous. It's you don't belong in. Yeah, I get that they're big money.
They should be in the Sun Belt. Throw them in.
Probably slap them in where Houston plays, where Conference USA or whatever.
Yeah. But, good. I don't hate either of those picks. I'm a Matt Campbell guy, even though they've been struggling. I'm not going to take.
And also,
them, but
what I think is Henry or Travis. What's his name? God, Travis, what is it?
Jordan Travis for Florida State.
Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan Travis was getting Travis Henry from the Bills from back in the day, but he played. In fairness, he's a cool customer. I think I like his game.
I wouldn't use the word cool customer. He's dynamic. I think he gets super rattled. Whenever he's just running around like a headless chicken.
Yeah, but he makes the plays.
It's
I get that he runs around, but it's I don't think he freaks out. He runs around, but I
think there's a little bit. I'd probably disagree. I think there's a little bit of freak out with Jordan Travis. That being said, I don't know, to lead him on that drive to come back and win it. I get that it was a lot of Miami playing bad, but yeah, you knew.
I think he didn't. He battled him that whole game. He looked healthy, looked athletic. I just think that's a bad recipe for BC. BC coming off a win against Georgia Tech that feels like they're gonna get a lot of value for it, but I put no value in beating Tech. So
Florida State has a really good defensive line. Miami could not run the ball really on them. Jalen Knighton's production came through the air, and so we'll see if he can mash it down on him. I'm a little pessimistic.
And those running backs for FSU are like legit good.
They're good. So. Corbin, Trayshawn Ward, yeah, they're. I agree, they're ballers.
Yeah,
good.
This is a bit of a field pick for me.
Good.
Yeah.
And they're playing hard for Mike Norvell. As much as people are calling for people's heads, specifically Mike Norvell.
Yeah, he did right the ship. He righted the ship for them.
Every week they play hard. They're not a good team yet. They're still working. He's got a good recruiting class coming in, but they're playing hard for him. So that's kind of what you look for when versus Dan Mullen, Jimmy Lake,
yeah, they didn't get it. They're not getting anything out of those guys. But
okay, I'm gonna go Auburn minus 10.5. On the road at South Carolina. South Carolina's
not a bad pick.
They're bad. What I worry about is Auburn kind of looking past this and looking forward to the Iron Bowl next week. Really bad taste in their mouth after that Mississippi State game. But Bo Nix has been playing well. They have some tremendous linebackers. And this South Carolina team is just not that good. I mean, they almost lost to Banner. They beat a Florida team that was dealing with also apparently the flu was running rampant in the locker room. Turns out Florida sucks anyway, so that one doesn't even look that good. And then they lose to Missouri, who's just been horrible as of late. So they can't run the ball. They don't have good quarterbacks. What South Carolina's identity was going to be was ground and pound with Kevin Harris and a big offensive line. They can't run the ball. They're definitely not going to run the ball in Auburn. I see South Carolina turn the ball over 3 times. Their defense is decent. They got some dogs on the D-line, but other than that, I really like Auburn here to cover 10.5. I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns more on the road.
Yeah.
South Carolina does show out. I do like Coach Beamer too, but I just think they're just not ready yet. I got 2 more. You got any more? No.
I should have I had one more money line that I kind of like, and that's Stanford to beat Cal.
Okay.
Cal's got I think COVID's a little bit of an issue for them right now, and they've just had a disruptive season on the health.
Hasn't Stanford been pretty bad lately?
Stanford's not good. I agree with that. But
they lost to Washington. Yikes! They've been horrible recently. You're laying with this they're at home. How much are they under?
No. +4, so it'd be probably +170-ish or so.
Yeah. I don't hate the pick. See if people get back from COVID.
I don't know. It's not like Cal is nothing compared to those other teams. I mean, Oregon State's not a horrible loss. They're pretty good. And it's not like they're getting killed by people besides Oregon State. But I don't know. I like the quarterback. I thought I generally think he plays pretty good ball. And I just feel like Cal's season's getting major derailed, and the teams last year that had problems with it, they all really struggled to deal. So it's they're the only team I can think of that has a real COVID problem and issue with the health. So I don't think that fares well. It is a gutter game, but that's
okay. I got 2 more. I think this will be a battleground one. I'm not going to try to put words in your mouth, but I think you're going to disagree with this. Michigan State to cover 19, not to cover, but as 19.5 point underdogs. Ohio State has an absolutely insane offense. I'm not going to argue that. Michigan State's known for, and this is kind of what Penn State did to Ohio State a little bit. Michigan State's going to give up yards. They gave up yards to Maryland. What they're going to do is hold you in the red zone. I think, and this is a stat I heard on another podcast I was listening to, so I don't have that in front of me, but Maryland was in the red zone 3 times against Michigan State last week and only scored 7 points in those 3 drives. 1 turnover, and then I think 1 turnover on downs. Michigan State's bows, and they did it against Michigan too. Michigan was moving the ball all over the place, and they bowed up.
Kicked 4 field goals. Yep.
It's hard to cover 20 points. I'm going to wait on this too. I'm not going to put it in.
Plus, you're going to grind them down.
And then that's my other argument. Yeah.
It's going to be a slower game than Ohio State wants to play.
What you have to do is just eat clock.
Yeah, I'm not going to battleground you because I don't like that's too many points to cover on a team like Michigan State.
As a Michigan fan, I want Ohio State to win. That being said, I don't think I want Ohio State to win by a 30 either, because I don't know if I want them just like cooking with all that confidence heading into.
Yeah, because that's what they've been doing in the past like few years, is they come in beating the wheels off people and then they just hammer Michigan. So
yeah. And I mean, this can be a separate podcast that we can talk about, but we'll see. It's been a long season, so I think I'm excited for Michigan. And this is, I guess, going into my next pick, I have Michigan to cover 15. I think this team is after that win, they looked extremely good. I think the scoreboard doesn't really indicate how much of a. You can pull up the yardage. Actually, I'm kind of curious to see that.
I mean, if you get a good game out of Cade McNamara, that game's really not close. I think he played one of his worst games.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking like.
I get this. The stats look pretty good, but he missed some really untimely throws.
It was not good. It was cold, mixed precipitation, so it wasn't like the ideal throwing weather. But again, if you're gonna be a quarterback at Michigan, you gotta be able to throw in that weather.
Yeah, and it's not like he played bad, but if he plays how he plays, which is he doesn't make a ton of flash throws, but he makes more or less every easy throw. I think he wasn't doing that yesterday, so.
Why I think Michigan covers 15 though. I think this is the game where they start turning the ball over. We talked about it this morning. Michigan plays a brand of football on defense that is conducive to turnovers. Opposing offenses have a lot of turnover-worthy plays. For example, against Penn State, DBs had their hands on 2 balls. There were 2 strip sacks. We didn't turn the ball over on any of those 4 plays. And that's been a theme throughout the year. A lot of strip sacks that we're not recovering. One got robbed from us against Michigan State. DBs aren't catching the ball, that hitting them with 2 hands, besides like maybe 1 or 2 that I can think of that were good plays. I think this might be the game where that if Talia is going to be putting the ball in harm's way, we're going to start capitalizing on it a little bit. We're going to mash it on him with Hassan Haskins. I think Don Edwards is going to get some work in too. Maryland has
to might be back.
No, I heard he's not. I heard he's gonna. Yeah, that's what I heard. Is they want to.
That's not a bad idea.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it as much.
If it's like gonna be 80% kind of game, he shouldn't play.
I mean, if we're not beating Maryland without Blake Corum, we're not beating Ohio State. So
it's definitely true.
Maryland drops back almost 50 times a game. You don't want to drop back 50 times.
You don't want to do that.
I mean, the way you neutralize Hutch and Ajabo is run at him so they can't get upfield and.
If they don't power run.
I think we saw that a little bit with Michigan State is when Hutch and Ajabo are rearing back and putting together pass rushes, sometimes they're out of those rush lanes, and that's when you can burn a defense a little bit. That's not happening. That's not happening against Maryland. They can't run the ball like that. They don't run the ball like that. So a lot of free rushes. I see it in another game where Hutch and Ajabo, Penn State got into that. Like Penn State can't run the ball, and Sean Clifford was a tackling dummy for half the game. So.
In the only drives that were any reasonable effectiveness, they were running the ball a little bit.
And a lot of that is when Hutch is rearing back or Ajabo is rearing back for a pass rush, gets out of a rush lane, and they kind of spring one. That's something I noticed on tape when I watched it this morning. So I like the pick. I wonder where it goes. I'm fine taking it at 16. If it gets to 17, I'm not going to take it. Obviously, if it gets under 14, I love it. I would be surprised if it moves much from 15. I think that's a decent.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That's not the game I like. Those big monster spreads, the +2 touchdown spreads kind of thing. But
yeah,
I like the Michigan State one more. Honestly, that's a good point.
Wow, we're spraying the board this week. I love it. I'm excited.
I did look.
A lot of fun games. Are there any other fun games that are worth noting? Let's pull up the slate real quick.
The one that I really don't love and you kind of talked me out of was the Stanford one. That was just one that I looked at like, Cal, really? But,
you want me to just delete it? I can.
No. I'm not going to take it back, but.
Fair enough.
They don't sit there thinking wildly comfortable with it. The one, I mean, obviously of note is Wake Forest Clemson. That's
yes.
Clemson's 3.5 point favorites. It makes you want to take the the Deeks, but
it does too. But Sam
hopeful
Hartman,
not.
Sam Hartman looked horrible last week.
Well, that almost makes me more encouraged to take it, frankly.
We're not going to be able to run the ball. I think the mesh helps against a really get after your D line. It's going to come down to if Wake's going to score. I don't know if we're going to keep that streak alive, scoring 35 plus points. Can we stop their offense? It's been horrible. They can't move the ball. Very talented, but can't move the ball. So we'll see if they can and put up points on Wake. Is it 3.5 with the hook, or is it just 3?
I saw 3.5.
Makes me want to take it. I don't know.
But that was on ESPN. So
it seems like a letdown game for Wake, to be honest. I hate to say it.
Is it it's at Clemson, I presume?
It is in Clemson.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This game's interesting. UTSA looked horrible, but I'm not.
No, I have not watched this.
It's kind of a battle of two of the better non-Power 5 schools. Not wild about it. And I guess another one, Cincy, SMU. If Cincy's gonna lose, this one's circled. SMU has the offense to beat them in a shootout, but I haven't seen enough from their defense to get me excited.
Yeah, it was really rough defense. Also, just as a side note, I legitimately think the Cincinnati quarterback is probably the best quarterback in the draft.
Did you forget?
He actually looked
him just now.
Yeah. But he actually looked sick.
We run our ROC Boys Twitter account together for y'all listening. And I tweeted out on Thursday night that I think Kenny Pickett's QB1, and then Twitter and tweets out that Desmond Ritter's QB1 the next night. Our followers are all confused. Both, I mean, realistically, if we're thinking about it, those are the only two quarterbacks who haven't played their way out of QB1.
All I know is Desmond Ritter was throwing some balls on the run that made me wildly impressed. Notably, I know this is what sparked my comment, but he threw one. He was running to his left as a righty, and his ability to get that ball out with good velocity is very encouraging. I think that's a very hard throw, and you want your big athletic quarterback to be able to make it. And obviously, I felt like he could. And just generically speaking, very good athletes. So, yeah, I think a really obviously weak quarterback class, but Desmond Ritter, yeah, I think he is the guy. I think he could, as these other guys are playing themselves into oblivion, he's actually put together a very good season. And yeah,
big
QB1 for me.
Yeah. From what I've heard, I will be the first one to admit that I'm not the best QB scout. I don't know enough about the game to like throwing mechanics or like defenses to like really get into the nitty gritty stuff. I can just see like arm talent and.
Oh, that's what I'm doing. I'm just like
I heard Desmond Ritter's a stare. I heard he like struggles to see defenses that clear. You don't see the most complicated defenses in those non-Power 5 conference games. And so that's one knock I heard on him. I think that's going to be a knock if whenever you're not a Power 5 conference guy, like that's going to be a knock on
you. Yeah, I mean Kenny Pickett's very good, but
he's more than Mac Jones. Like I'm really good at getting through my reads and being accurate to football. And that's going to win you a lot of games at the next level.
Yeah, and honestly, for me, I don't always think about Kenny Pickett when I think about the quarterbacks from the draft because he wasn't really preseason in the conversation so much. Like it was kind of the 5, like Ritter, Howell, Rattler, and Keaton Slovis, I guess, were kind of the guys who were getting most of the shine. So I always forget about Pickett, but yeah, he is very good. I don't know. I'm a big Ritter guy though. I'm a believer.
So this is our we'll tweet out picks. We'll tweet out. I think we're gonna tweet out a screenshot of the spreadsheet for week 12. This is definitely a shoot at the board Saturday. I guess we have a few non-Saturday games. NIU
action.
If you're out for a fun Friday night, or is that Thursday? One of the two. But other than that, mostly Saturday and a lot of fun ones. I feel good about our locks. Purdue, fade Northwestern. That seems to be money every time. Baylor and the pick 'em I love on the road. 2 road dogs, and then actually all 3. They're not dogs, I guess, but 3. I think all these 4 picks are on the road, so that's definitely a ROC Boy special. Kind of getting the value. All going to like not a very exciting place, not a very hard place to play. Kansas State might be the hardest place to play out of these 4.
Kansas State's not a bad environment.
Dill's on the money line picks. He loves the close spreads, and then I got a few wider ranges. I feel good about that over under. No battlegrounds, no battleground games. That stinks for me.
It's good. It's good for you.
You get to hold that lead over me, but I'll get you back at some point.
You don't want to get in the battleground because you've lost almost everyone. So.
We got time.
Yeah, like 1 week.
That's actually true. The season goes by fast. Good. We got some good picks in that. I like that. It's gonna be an exciting week. This is definitely like this is like a season changing week. I think we're up a little bit on the year, but this is where you either go up big or down big. So
it's most picks I had. So
it'll be an exciting one. We're gonna be back. We're gonna do a college football playoff show. This Tuesday night, I think, and then we'll be back with a mock draft too, because I love mock drafts. I might do it alone if Dill doesn't want to do it, but I'll be back when one of those. I do those for fun, so I'm a loser. All right, appreciate you guys stopping in with us. We'll be back later this week for some more content. Otherwise, talk to y'all later. Peace. Are we at yet?